Hello again, welcome to Season 3, Episode 4. In this episode, I'm joined by Ed Cooper, Director and Business Coach at ActionCOACH. We're talking about all things business growth and mindset. We dive into how business owners can step back from the day-to-day, create the right systems for growth, and lead with clarity. It's a really inspiring and practical conversation for anyone looking to grow their business without burning out. Hi everyone, welcome back to Marketing Ninja Unleashed. This is Season 3, Episode 4, and today I've got a special guest with me. Today I'll be talking to Ed Cooper. He is a business and executive coach with ActionCOACH, one of the directors and founders of LifeWorks Consulting, and also acts as a non-exec director. He is part of my Find a Beers networking group as well, and he did an amazing presentation that really made me see my business and life in perspective, which was really fantastic. So today I wanted to pick his brains on mindset and business ownership. So Ed, why is this so important in running a business?
That's a great question. Thanks, Rena. Thanks for having me on the podcast as well. It's really exciting to be here. And just to share some of the thoughts around this, I think these are the thoughts, particularly around mindset, that people will be thinking about, but also it will hold people back. Mindset is one of the biggest performance enhancing strategies or approaches that we have. So whatever we say to ourselves becomes the truth. And I think one of the biggest things, if I think about business ownership, I think entrepreneurship can be glamorized somewhat. And actually there's a real side, the real challenges, as well as freedoms that we have through business ownerships. So thinking that how that then affects the mindset of a business owner. So most business owners, not all business owners, but most business owners will have worked at some point, and then that security that they get, and they go, forget this, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do this for myself. I think I'm going to give it a go. And then there becomes a level of uncertainty. And what comes with that then becomes responsibility and consistency to keep going out, the daily habits to really make sure that they're achieving the outcomes. And I think that the mindset shift drives that success. So we have to, as business owners, shift our mindset from an employee thinking mindset to an entrepreneurial thinking mindset. So we just uncover that a little bit. So the employee thinking generally is about that certainty. I'm going to get my paycheck. I'm certain that I'm going to have my job generally. In this world, we don't know that certainty these days, unfortunately, as much.
Yep.
And the safety in my environment and where I'm at. If we take that mindset into business, then a lot of the business owners I work with that have that mindset, they struggle. They really struggle to break through. So the entrepreneurial thinking is much more around how do I approach risk? How do I adapt what I'm doing to make sure that I'm changing consistently and constantly to get the results that I want? And how do I think more long term, knowing that today I might not get the success that I'm looking for, but I know I'm on the right trajectory. And within that, we need resilience, because we all are going to get huge knockbacks in business. That's the reality of business. But with setbacks becomes a mindset of failure. And my encouragement to everyone listening is that setbacks it's just a data point. It's just telling us something's not right. And we need to kind of dig into that to figure out, okay, so how do we fix that?
That's a really nice way of seeing it, actually, because I've been there as well. You get a failure, you get a rejection, all of a sudden it's like, am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing this? Yeah. And like you say, it's data, isn't it? Things go wrong, things go well. So that makes sense.
So sometimes business owners that I work with, they'll be quite emotional about the setbacks that they're getting. And I encourage business owners, when they're in that emotional state, to have someone ask them questions that helps to drive the logic. So the nemesis of emotion is logic. So if you can really bring that logic to the forefront, the emotion sort of dissipates. Then we can sort of look at it more clearly, more openly. It's not to say that emotion isn't important. Emotion is massively important, particularly around mindset. If you're feeling anxious about something, or you're feeling frustrated or angry about something, it's telling us, that emotion is telling us that something's not right. So we need to listen to that, but then acting upon it much more logically with data is important. So I think from a framework, like if I share with the listeners a bit of a framework, the three shifts I would encourage people to think about for entrepreneurial mindset would be to move from security to seeing more opportunity. Because where we are in our comfort zone is really nice, but if we can stretch outside of that, we'll see much more opportunity. And that's where we take risks. Problems, so we might see problems at the moment, is shifting that to possibilities. And I know that that can sound a little bit cliche, isn't it? We don't have a world of problems, we have a world of possibilities. But actually having that positive spin on things and go, what's the possibility that I can see out of this issue that I'm having here? And the other thing is perfection. A lot of business owners I work with have like a real mindset of like, it's got to be right, it's got to be perfect. And I get that. But what I'm more interested in is progress. So it's making small steps forward to make sure that you are making progress. So to do that, you probably need to track something. But to track something, you need to know where you're going. So if you've got your goals and you know where you're going, then you can set your systems up to track your progress and then look at it regularly and celebrate those small steps towards progress.
That's absolutely brilliant. And 100% my story. I was employed. I didn't want to be employed anymore, set up on my own. I was waiting for that security. And that for me was putting my house on the market and moving in with my husband because I thought, oh, the money that comes in from that is my security. I actually didn't wait that long. I handed in my notice as soon as we put the house on the market. So the house wasn't sold yet. And that was my job. I've definitely had all the problems in the world. What you said about perfection really resonated with me because I used to wait for ages to do my own marketing, to promote things because I thought, oh, everything's got to be perfect. I actually recorded a video on it earlier in the year about how I nearly didn't do a video because all these random little hairs on top of my head were sticking up and not doing what they were supposed to be doing. And I just felt really, they all just felt out of place. But I thought, no, I'm going to do it because nobody's going to notice it. I actually pointed it out in the video, and the amount of comments that I got back from that one video saying, you're right, it doesn't matter. No one noticed the little frizz on your hair at all. It's brilliant. Was perfect. So that for me was like, okay, I'm just going to do it. And I think I was starting to move there. So I'm getting there with the shifts. I completely understand that. And I can see how it's really easy to switch back as well. So you talked about failure, and the second one of those happens, all of a sudden your mindset goes back to, oh no, should I do this again? You've got to remember to keep shifting your mindset back to the entrepreneurial style, don't you? So really powerful. That's really, it's nice to know that I'm on the right track.
Yeah, you definitely are. You definitely are. But if you peel back our society and the way that children are taught at school, particularly, I know it's changing somewhat. I noticed that I got a daughter who's 12 and a son who's 10, and there is a difference when perhaps you and I are at school, right? But what's the school system set up for is to make sure that you are correct. So you get a positive feedback through a score or a smiley face or whatever it might be when you are doing the right thing, and admonished when you're doing the wrong thing. And our schools that my kids are in, they do talk about progress, throughout. But if they come back and they go, well, how did you do on your spellings, or how did you do on your maths? Go, oh, I got 12 out of 20, or I didn't do very well, or I got less than 50%, or hey, I did really well, I got 80%. And it's like, I try and remove myself from that with the kids in particular and say, are you putting the effort in that you need to get the best result? Don't worry about the results will come so long as you're putting in that effort. Because when we do get into society and we do get into jobs and we do get into our own businesses, we can quite quickly find that we have that mindset that if I'm not doing the right thing, I'm not perfect, I'm not doing the right thing, I'm not on time, I'm doing all these things incorrectly, then I'm a failure. And that is no mindset for anybody to build on, really. It doesn't conduce to good results ultimately. Beating ourselves up too much. maybe on it.
Yes, definitely. We set ourselves standards, don't we? And then feel rubbish when we don't meet those standards. And it's like
Yeah,
it's the way we were brought up. But it's
yeah.
nice to see that that is actually changing now. So
And to your point as well, because it's happened for me as well, where I will, not maybe not do the social media thing, or not pick up the phone and talk to someone, or not put the email out because it's got to be quite right, or have I learned enough about marketing to make sure that I can do marketing well, and so on. And most of the success people who have achieved success, I should say, out there, if you read their books and you read their biographies, they didn't have a clue about how they were doing what they were doing. They were just doing stuff like in the roughly in the right direction, and then getting a bit of feedback and finding it wasn't quite right and going, okay, well, we'll just put it right then. So I say to someone, if they go, oh, I need to know a little bit more about social media, for example, is like, just put some social media stuff out there and see what happens, change it, see what happens, learn something, change and see what happens, and keep that cycle going. Because for me, action is far better than just inaction and not doing anything. At least you've got something in return of no one's liked my post, no one's mentioned anything, no one's shared it. And then I do something different and it gets better, right?
yeah, definitely. There's also that I guess that fear that people have as well of what if the wrong people, what if I'm doing something wrong and someone tells me I'm doing something wrong? Because I was
Mm,
very much like that as well. But I think I actually learned from another podcast that I was on from a guy called Christopher Watkin. He was one of the things he says is you're not posting to get likes. You're posting to make people aware of what you know and what you do.
yeah,
And then that again, mindset shift was actually that makes sense. I'm just sharing useful content. Not everybody is going to like it. That's
yeah,
okay. Not everyone's going to comment on it, and that's fine as well. And again, I've seen it with my own set of videos. I've been posting stuff, and I probably get about 3 likes on it. But then I went to a family wedding, and people were like, "Oh yeah, that video that you posted was really good." Okay,
yeah,
so you
yeah,
watched it. That's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
It shows up in some of the stats, but I never
yeah.
really know who it's making an impact on. And I think that's this crazy digital world that we live in. You can make a
Mm,
bigger impact than you realize, even if you
mm,
don't think you're doing a good job, which is where I've been
mm.
way too many times. So
Yeah, and then the thing is that then people give up to that mindset to go, well, I haven't got a data point. I'm not getting any feedback. I don't know whether this is working, so I'm going to give up. And the encouragement is no, keep going. Um, a lot of the success that people have is never about immediacy. It's about long term. It's about the fact that the overnight successes that you see tend to be 10-year overnight successes. They've taken that long to get to that point. There are always going to be one or two people that are overnight successes and become multi-billionaires because whatever. But generally speaking, that is not the case for the majority of people. Yeah, even people like Jeff Bezos, who's one of the richest people in the world, owns and runs Amazon, and is there in his garage, like working from there in his mum and dad's house, trying to build a business, failing over and over and over again, and then becomes an overnight success in the kind of first 5 to 10 years of his business. What it is about, and this is a mindset point, it's about consistent action. So I sort of encourage your listeners to say, what are the consistent things that I need to do every single day that will compound and cause a positive result? Whether that is talking to people, sending an email, following up, having a sales process that you follow, or a script that you follow, or great customer service and delivery, or getting feedback from whatever you're doing from your customers, asking for Google reviews, whatever it is, you list it out, pick your key ones that you think, yeah, these are the things that if I do these consistently, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a positive outcome eventually, and then keep doing them consistently. Measure them so that you can follow your trajectory, and just notice, is that trend going up and improving, or is it going down and not improving? And if it's not improving, change it.
that makes sense. It is important to measure things as well. And I think make sure you're measuring the right things is probably one thing that I would
Right.
add to that, because it's very easy to say, yeah, I got 500 likes on this.
Yeah.
But actually, does that matter? Did you get a client out of it? Did you get a phone call out of it?
Yes.
That's the things that are actually making an impact to your business rather than the smaller short
Yeah.
term goals are
Yeah. Yeah.
probably more important to measure as well. So, yeah, definitely measuring the right things is important, but completely agree with that.
And I think as well, some of that then lends into the money and metrics mindset. So you talk about mindset in business, but there's a great advert. I don't know if you've seen it. It's Barclays advert about these young little kids, sort of maybe 7 to 10 years old. And I remember one of the kids on the advert is going, I didn't eat any calamari, so I'm not paying for any calamari. It's like, what are you, 7? And our mindset around money is very much solidified at that age. And if we have a scarcity mindset around money, then that will hold people back. So I think challenge yourself when I say to my clients, when I say the word money, what comes up? And sometimes I'll get abundant types of response, like there's plenty in the world, money's always available, it's there to help us grow. But a lot of the time, and the majority of the time, it'll be the opposite of that. It'll be money doesn't grow on trees, be penny pinching, don't let it go down the drain, all those types of negative things around money. So trying to shift the mindset around money, knowing that there is an abundance of money in the world, there is enough for everyone. Maybe not everybody receives what they deserve in that context, but holding that for yourself is really important and making that change through. And I don't know what your thoughts are on that, or how you might have seen money yourself, Rena.
Yeah, so I've seen that advert. Do absolutely love it, and
Yeah.
I like the idea that they're educating people on how your mind works, which is quite nice because that
Yeah.
doesn't happen enough. I've worked in a lot of financial services institutions, and when you say money, people are instantly feared and they don't want to talk about it because
Mm.
either they don't have what they want or they think they've got too much and they're embarrassed by it, and it's something that people just don't talk about. So for me
Mm.
personally, I don't shout about money, but actually, from when you said money, the first things that came to my mind were being comfortable and actually wanting to go on holiday, being able to live a comfortable lifestyle is probably where I want to
Yeah.
be at because that's what makes me happy. And working backwards from that, knowing what I need to do to get that is probably how I've structured my business
Mm.
and not really
Mm.
let it stop me because I know how much I have to spend on my marketing. I know how much I have to spend on all the I guess all the fun stuff like accounting and the various other bits that you have to do as a business owner.
Yeah.
It's splitting that out. And I don't want to be greedy, but obviously you do want to keep growing your business and you need to make sure everything you bring in is going to good use. But it's so easy to fall into that mindset of, oh, well, I spent 30 quid on marketing over here and I got one like out of it and I spend loads on Google advertising and I've got nothing from it at all. That ROI, which is something that we're taught
Mm.
all the time, can always stick in your head. And I've tried really hard as a business owner to almost knock that out of my head because as a marketer, I know there are a lot of things that I'm doing now that business owners are doing now that will make
Mm.
a difference in 10 years' time. And like you
Mm.
say, it's not a quick win. It is a
Mm.
longer term
Mm.
gain. And
Mm.
that's how we should all be thinking. So
Mm. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and I think that kind of connected to that as well, Rena, that a lot of small business owners that I've worked with, particularly at the beginning, they kind of confuse business with busyness. Like they're just doing because they feel like if I constantly do, then success will follow. And actually, when it comes to money and metrics mindset, it's trying to clarify the goals around money and then getting them to understand the numbers in the business. Not everyone, but I would say somewhere between 75 and 80% of the people I work with genuinely don't understand their numbers in their business. And we have to kind of really kind of work hard at it. Or even if they've got numbers, they don't know how to perhaps dig into them. And so I think one thing is, like revenue is not profit. And profit's really important. If you haven't got profit, you haven't got a business, you're going to go out of business really quickly. If you've got a non-profitable business and you scale it, you're going to go out of business quicker, because you're going to run out of money. And that sounds really obvious, but actually, if we don't know where we are with profit, that's a big problem. Cash flow is the lifeblood and oxygen of the business. If we run out, game's over. So knowing what your cash flow looks like and knowing where that gap is really important. And also that mindset around what you're worth. A lot of people will underprice based on fear and not actually charge their worth. So they work really, really hard to bring money in. And at the end of the year, they go, I work really, really hard. I've got nothing to show for it. I'm not profitable, or I've not been able to pay myself what I'm worth. So books like The Profit First Principle by Mike Milovich, where he talks about paying yourself first and then you profit and then you run your business on what's left and kind of work backwards to what most people do. And measuring again, so back to measuring, like what's my profit margin? What's my cash runway? Like how many months have I got in my business to survive? And what's my customer lifetime value? So when you get a customer, you kind of know on average how much that's going to be worth to you, and you can start to predict profitability and predict cash flow in the business.
Yeah, that all completely makes sense. And we've given loads of advice for business owners. One of the hardest things that I find as a business owner is finding the time to sit down and think about everything, almost working on the business, they say. So working out what your profit is, working out how long it's going to take. I always put together I call them yay days. So my business is you and your story. So it becomes a yay day for me. So I'll focus, that is my day to sit down, do all the admin that I need to do. Have a look at where I'm at financially, and I'll try and do that once a month. It's always the day that I end up doing invoicing. So I aim for the first of the month every single month, or the closest work day to it, to try and get into that. But do you have any advice or any tips on business owners that do struggle to, I guess, be disciplined to find that time?
Yeah, definitely. So I call it a default diary, but setting out your diary and default it, and always set the year out if you can, but certainly the quarter is like in your diary, Rena, you've put, on the first of every month, my job between the hours of 10 and 2 is to do my invoicing and my finance numbers and do a bit of analysis on it. And I think that if that's in there, chances are you'll do it. Otherwise, it's really easy to put in something else, a meeting with someone or a bit of extra work or whatever it might be. So having that default position, and I would say the same, by the way, for anything to do with growth activities. So marketing activities, sales activities, or delivery to the customer is like, put it in your diary. Like, when are you going to do that? But even if you're not doing it right now, so I'd say to someone like, I'm a business coach, right? So if I say on a Wednesday between 12 and 2, I want to coach, and I'll block that time out for coaching. Now, if I don't have a coaching client, my default is to have a sales call. And if I don't have a sales call booked, my default is to do some marketing. So I've got that time blocked out, and I can just sort of peel it back to those key activities. Now that helps to keep focus. It doesn't help to keep discipline. Discipline comes through repetitive action. So the focus when I look at my calendar tells me I should be doing something. The discipline is the action to do it. And we've all got our own kind of strategy to that. Like, how do you sit down and actually do what you say you're going to do? And I think that I would get people to really reflect on what works for them and what doesn't work for them. And I think that the habits that we have are mirrored in our business. So if we're a chaotic owner, we tend to have a chaotic business. But routines and energy management in particular, and kind of recovery when we've got all this hustle going on, I would be sitting down and asking yourself, what drains me? What really drains my energy? So for some people, what drains them is marketing. Like, I hate social media. Like, it really drains my energy. You go, what sustains you? And that could be, well, getting a sale, that makes me feel good and it sustains me. Or what grows you? What makes you feel really energized and excited? And try and put the things that drain you into your diary when you've got real high energy. Like I'm a morning person, right? So I've got more energy in the morning. So I need to do those things in the morning. I am not an afternoon person. Between the hours of 3 and 5, my energy dips. They're really great for admin for me, but everyone's might be different. So I'm trying to figure out what that is. So now I've got my focus. It'll also help me now with my discipline because I'll look at it and go, yes, I need to do that as opposed to, oh, I'm just too tired. I don't want to do it. And then the third thing to help the discipline is asking yourself the question is like, do you actually need to do this or can someone else do this for you? And for small business owners, the answer might be no, I'm wearing all the hats. I haven't got the cash to give to anyone else, but they have an idea that when I've got enough money coming in, I'm going to outsource that to an admin support or an EA or a PA, right? This one I'm going to outsource next is going to be my social media marketing because I really don't want to do that. And then it helps them to focus on the things that are going to real bring high value in for themselves. So I'd be saying there's like the 4D framework for actions. Do I do it? The quick wins. Do I delegate it? Give it to someone else to do that's better than me at doing it? Do I defer it? Like, actually, this isn't urgent. I don't need to do this. It's getting in the way of actually what I should be doing. Or do I delete it? Those time wasting things that we all do that we should just get rid of. That then I think really starts to build the discipline over a period of time.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with the listeners? Any tips for business owners? Or we've talked a lot about mindset, and I'm conscious that we have talked quite a lot anyway, and I'm taking up quite a bit of your time. But is there anything else that you would like to share?
My encouragement is we need more business owners in this world. Like small business ownership is by far the largest chunk of our economy. Like you were talking into the mid 90% of our income or generation of GDP in the UK. So we need small business owners. We need them to keep investing in people. But more importantly, we need you to keep investing in yourselves, like your own development, because very rarely, if ever, do businesses outgrow the growth of the individual who's running them. Right. So you need to constantly be challenging yourself to learn and grow and kind of adapt. Now, that doesn't mean reading a book or going on the internet or whatever, but it does mean growth. Like, who's your mentor? Who's your coach? Where's your network? What are you learning from them? And then imparting that into the team as well. And as a reflection point, perhaps for someone, for business owners to take away is to say, if your business was a mirror, what mindset would be reflecting back at you right now? What would it be saying about you that you are doing well? And what would your business be saying about you that you're not doing well that you might need to change?
A really interesting way of putting it. I'll definitely have a think about that. Not entirely sure I can give you an answer just yet.
No, absolutely. No, it's a takeaway reflection, definitely.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much for your time. So I introduced you as director and partner of Life's Work Consulting. That's really fascinating. I'd love to know a little bit more about it. Can you tell us what you do, I guess?
Yeah, so whilst the business coaching is kind of generally more for small business owners, Life's Work Consulting, we're a leadership consultancy. We work around the globe with more corporate organizations who've got sort of multi-layered management structures. And we will deliver leadership programs from kind of the exec board down to first line managers. We support teams with team coaching and deliver executive coaching as well for individuals within the business. And we also offer career coaching as well. So a lot of the time people coming, maybe they've been off for a while, they've come back to work, and they might need some career coaching coming in, or maybe they're thinking about their progression and the organization want to invest in them for their own personal growth for the future. So we offer career coaching as well. And so we're really lucky. We work with some amazing clients all around the world. At the moment, we've got a program running in Singapore, and we've got one that we did last week in Germany. We're just about to launch one in India. So yeah, we're kind of global, which is amazing. It's kind of like that really has been my dream since I left the corporate world myself.
Oh, that's really exciting. Thank you so much for your time. That's been really insightful, really helpful, and I'm sure all listeners are going to love it as well. I will put all of Ed's details in the description and make sure I mention the books that he mentioned as well, plus the frameworks that he's talked about, because there's loads of useful tips out there. So thank you very much for your time once again.
Thanks for inviting me, Rena. I really appreciate it.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.